women are getting the same opportunities as men and fighting against, there you go, and fighting against the forces of discrimination and tribalism and racism. But the single most important thing that I want to focus on is lifting up and identifying and working with and training the next generation of leadership, not just in the United States, but all around the world. And that's really the central goal of our foundation. It's going to be based in Chicago, my hometown, but we want to have projects, programs, partnerships, and digital networks everywhere. And I'm not just lending my name to the foundation, I'm going to be an active part of it. This year I've already met with young people like yourselves in Germany, in Indonesia, in Brazil, and then we had our first ever Obama Foundation Summit in Chicago. And I don't want to speak too long because I want to spend most of our time on questions, and Anshul is going to help to moderate it. But I did want to mention the reason I thought it was so important to do something in India. You've got the largest population of young people in the world, and that's a lot, so we might as well start big. We've already identified some remarkable young leaders who are doing extraordinary things here in India, authors, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, civic leaders from all across the country. We've got activists who are working on everything from education to gender equality to climate change. A couple of young leaders were recently with us in Chicago, and I just want to acknowledge them. Trisha Shetty started, where is she? There she is. Did you have fun in Chicago? Oh, see there, now, I didn't call on her to say that, but thank you. But Trisha started an organization called She Says, aimed at educating and empowering men and women to take action against sexual abuse. Also joining us in Chicago was Sanchana Krishnan, who works with communities to destigmatize mental health issues through the power of personal storytelling. Where's there you are, there you are. And here in India, we've got young leaders like Kuldeep Dantewadia, who's building, where's Kuldeep? There he is. He's building this country's first, what he calls Solve Squad, of 17,500 young people so far who are driving change at the local level all across India. So the point is that these young people are already showing the power that anybody has if they take the initiative and have the courage, as Anshul said, to drive change, to make a difference. And there have never been more powerful, more accessible tools for each of you to make a difference than there are today. And in fact, I would argue, and I mentioned this in my speech earlier this morning, there's never been a better time to be a young person. I mean, it's always good being young, by the way. But if you think about it, if you had to choose a moment in history in which you could be born, and you didn't know ahead of time who you were going to be, you didn't know what your status would be, you didn't know whether you were going to be male, female, Indian or American, you didn't know whether you were going to be gay, straight, you didn't know whether you were going to be rich or poor, what caste you might be a member of, what religion. So you're just a human, and you had to choose when to be born. You choose now. Because as troubled as our politics are, as difficult as the world can seem when you're watching the newscasts, the fact is that over the past 100 years, we've come from a world where only a small fraction of women could vote to a world where almost every woman can. Since 1950, the global average life expectancy has grown by more than 20 years. Since 1990, I mean, that's not that long ago. I was in law school in 1990. We've cut extreme poverty and childhood mortality in half. Much of that, by the way, in India and China.